you know.
Okay. I don't.
Hey, well, that's Mitchell with Jane Unchained Live Talk here with Maggie Ortlieb, the founder and the woman who is behind the brilliant Vegout magazine, which is offering tips during the coronavirus crisis for ordering great vegan food, pickup delivery, and keeping those vegan businesses in business and also not having to eat canned beans. Now, I say there's nothing wrong with eating canned beans. I do it all the time, but you don't want to always eat canned beans. There are other alternatives, and these vegan businesses really need you during this time of crisis. So give us an overview how you came up with these great hacks for staying, eating incredible dishes during this isolation time.
Yeah, definitely. Once quarantine started, we started to see the vegan restaurants and businesses pivot. So instead of, they obviously can't do dine-in, so they had to re-strategize. They're offering pickup delivery. Some of them are getting creative and even offering DIY kits, which is shown right here. And then also things like groceries. Some of them have like wine and beer. So they're selling different things, not just meals. You can definitely still get meals that are, already prepared, but you can get grocery items, DIY kits, and it's a lot of fun. It's a creative way to, like you said, not have to go to the grocery store, because we know that's kind of depressing right now. You have to wait in line. It's a big hassle. So if you can get something delivered or just order ahead and go pick up from one of these vendors, it's supporting them, and it helps you too. So
how do you do it? Because I love this idea. I mean, I've been here thinking about, wow, what I love. I'm lucky. I live close to New Delhi, which is similar to this. This is a vegan takeout with non-perishables, like things you can, take from ketchup to vegan marshmallows. I'm just looking at some of the things they have there and take it home. And so New Delhi is a vegan 7-Eleven, vegan bodega, vegan deli, whatever you want to call it. And it's close enough. I've had 2 deliveries so far. And I know Besties, we interviewed Besties Vegan Paradise. They're doing a bang up business because they've got curbside pickup where you can order and then you just call them as you're arriving. You don't violate social distancing. They hand it to you. You just roll down your window, you take it, and that's it. Yep. And so explain that a little bit more, because I'm trying to, while I've mastered New Delhi through Postmates, I'm a little bit challenged, and I think a lot of people are around the country. This isn't just an LA thing. You have New York, you have nationwide. So what you're doing on Vegout magazine, which I think is brilliant, is giving people the instructions for, like, this looks pretty good to me. I would love this. To explain how I can get this in my house.
Yeah, so it really varies depending on the business. Some of them are partnering with meal delivery services, like you said, Postmates, Grubhub, Caviar, these different apps. So you can just order through there. It's delivered. You can select contactless delivery, so the courier will just drop it off, and you don't have to actually interact with anyone. Practice social distancing. Some of them you can call ahead, and you can actually drive, pick it up. They'll bring it out to you. And then there's even places like there's a restaurant in Chicago called Kitchen 17, all vegan restaurant. They're actually shipping frozen deep dish vegan pizzas. Unfortunately, not to California, but a lot of the other states, they're shipping them to your doorstep. So places are shipping, working with delivery apps, as well as you can actually go and pick them up.
Wow. Now, let me ask you about something that I've been grappling with, is geographic area. So one of the things I like about this here is that it's obviously meals for a couple of days. It's not just what you would have, like, this is fabulous, but it's not going to last 5 days. This is a pop-up, which is another thing we'll get to. But I would love to get something like this that is, something that's going to last for a few days. But what if it's not in my geographic area? Like, what if, like, for example, who wouldn't want to have Crossroads, for example, one of the most famous restaurants in LA, deliver a box where I could just whip it up, and this is great Crossroads food, and have it for 5 days, but they're not in my geographic area. Can you address that at all?
Yeah, so some of them do have restrictions as far as how far they'll deliver. So if you're unable to actually go and pick up from the location, You can see if it's on a delivery app. Some apps like Postmates will deliver farther than, you know, the actual restaurant can deliver. But yeah, it just really depends on where you live. You might not be able to get delivery from all of the places that we feature.
So here we go. This is Vegout magazine founder Maggie Ortlieb. But you have here this graphic that says Los Angeles, but you're actually a nationwide magazine. People who live in New York and other big cities like Chicago or even small towns can get this and get some tips. To me, Maggie, what I really liked about your whole issue, and I urge everybody to subscribe. Tell us a little bit about how you can subscribe. We have the link to Vegout magazine on the written intro to this live broadcast. But what are your thoughts about how vegan businesses are going to make it through this crisis? Because we know right now that slaughterhouses are shutting down due to the coronavirus. Okay, so we have a lot of information about slaughterhouses that are now shutting down because their employees, working elbow to elbow for the most part, are coming down, a lot of them, with coronavirus. In fact, I just talked yesterday to the head of the UFCW, United Food and United at UFCW Local 7 worker who represents 3,000 slaughterhouse workers. And she was just absolutely devastated by what's happening to her rank and file. 3 died, others are hospitalized, many are ill. So we're seeing the, in a way, an infrastructure collapse of the slaughterhouse industry. And our hearts go out to all the workers who are also trapped in the factory farming system. Imagine, this is a job no one wants. She even said that. It's not a job that anybody takes. Like, you don't go to college and major in slaughterhouses. Mm-hmm. There's no slaughterhouses in Beverly Hills or Park Avenue. It's something that people do only because they have to do it to survive. And now they're being decimated, in some cases killed, getting sick. Just it's devastating their lives. So our hearts go out to those workers. And we do urge people to think about those workers when they think about picking up a slice of beef or deli slice that somebody is now possibly died risking their life to bring you that food, when there are healthier options, better for the environment and better for obviously virus prevention, since this started in a slaughterhouse in China. So what are your thoughts, though, about how vegan businesses at this point, we don't know if it's the midway point, we don't know if it's the beginning, middle, of the end of this 3-act play. We don't even know if it's a 3-act play. But what are your thoughts, since you're working so deeply with these companies, about how they're surviving thus far, Maggie?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that a lot of businesses overall are struggling, but especially we see the small vegan businesses really, really struggling to stay open and to survive. For the restaurants, especially, a lot of their sales were dine-in, and so they had to cut back dramatically, and they're maybe making 10% or just a way smaller percentage of what they were making before. It just really depends on how long this is going to go on. It's such an uncertainty for everyone. So we don't know if it's over in a couple of months. It may be one thing, but if it goes on the entire year, I think it's going to put a lot of people out of businesses. But economically, there are options. There's like small business loans and stuff. So the SBA is helping how they can, but that's a whole nother process that I won't get into. And so not everyone's eligible for that. But it's a crazy time. We do see places that are really at risk of going out of business, but I think it's going to create opportunity, like they've had to get creative right now, offering these different services instead of just dine-in. So the ones that are able to adapt and pivot and change, I think they'll be okay. And I'm hoping that, like you said about the slaughterhouses, I'm hoping that some of these meat companies and consumers demand more plant-based options, and that actually helps create jobs versus, the current situation where a lot of people are out of work. So I'm hoping for the best.
I am determined and really focused on trying to help these vegan businesses stay in business. And people, we were at a tipping point for vegan businesses. In 2019, it was the banner year. We had the Beyond Meat IPO, the most successful initial public offering since the 2008 financial crisis. We had all these vegan products, including Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods, going into Burger King, Denny's, Carl's Jr., the whole 9 yards. We were just skyrocketing. So we don't want that. We don't want this to take us down. I mean, this started in a meat market in China. And that's where the first people who got sick went from that seafood, but it was really a meat market where they were selling all sorts of wild animals mixed in with poultry and other animals. It was look, let me just show you a picture of a New York City meat market. There are live markets, more than 80 of them in New York City alone. I'll just show you one very pretty picture. This is disgusting. Blood, guts, all sorts of things. I don't want to gross anybody out, but blood, guts, urine, etc. That's what happens in a live market or in any slaughterhouse. And we see here this picture of a woman literally throwing live chickens into her shopping cart to go and have them slaughtered at a live market in New York City. So we're not pointing the finger at any one nation. This is a global problem. And indeed, just the other day, the New York Times published an opinion piece, our cruel treatment of animals led to the coronavirus. So we certainly don't want the vegan businesses, which are the solution, whereas torturing and killing animals for food unnecessarily is the problem. The solution is don't do that. Therefore, eat beautiful fruits, vegetables, nuts, and grains, which are available at vegan restaurants. So clearly, since vegan restaurants are a big part of the solution, we don't want them to go under during this crisis. I would urge every vegan, even if it's a couple of bucks more, support them. Consider it a donation to a cause. And I just heard actually about a great website, supportandfeed.com, that when you go on there, you can give a donation, and it's run by Billie Eilish's mom, Maggie. I think her name is also Maggie. Yeah. And they're giving vegan food to the first responders and the doctors and the nurses. Brilliant idea. So support that, but also order from these vegan restaurants. I'm going to do it today. I mean, it's been a learning process. I have ordered from New Delhi twice, which is the vegan bodega nearby, but I also ordered from Sprouts twice. So now I did order vegan food from Sprouts. So I'm supporting in that way, but I think an even more direct way would be for me to start ordering more from the vegan restaurants. And what I've been trying to navigate is the geographic proximity and also how long the food is going to last. In other words, if I order 4 sandwiches, I'll just gain 20 pounds because I'll eat them right away. So I love this idea that you showed here. And again, Vegout Magazine has all this laid out. So I would urge you to subscribe to Vegout Magazine. This has all the dressings, everything you need, but it's done in a way. Which restaurant is this? Just out of curiosity.
This is actually a pop-up. So this is a pop-up. They got a little creative and they launched a DIY. You can recreate their burgers. So I think this is their chicken sandwich. So that, yeah, they include all the
vegan chicken.
Yeah, vegan chicken, chicken with apostrophe N. But a lot of other places are also, produce has been the biggest issue for me. And I know a lot of people struggle getting fresh produce right now.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of restaurants also offering produce boxes, and we did an article on that. So there are other ways, if you don't want to, like you said, gain all the weight in quarantine, just sitting in your apartment eating all of these sandwiches at once, you can get produce boxes. So there are healthier options. And also, what was I going to say about that? If you maybe don't have the financial means, or you can't, order from a restaurant and purchase a meal, there are other ways you can support. I mean, even something simple as like writing a Yelp review or sharing a social media post and telling your friends about these places, getting the word out. So small actions like that really do help these restaurants at this time.
Yes, people are at home thinking they can't do anything. I don't know about you, but I'm working harder than I ever have, doing interviews now 2-3 times a day, and then uploading things to the website and working on other projects to try to help vegan businesses and vegans and everybody survive this. That's why I like Support and Feed, because it's marrying the people who are creating the vegan food with the people who are putting their lives on the line, doctors, nurses, first responders, firefighters, police officers, to help people.
Mhm.
And so I just think this is an opportunity. You know, in every crisis, if you look at it differently, you will see an opportunity. And I was just reading, just because I thought it was an interesting book, Bob Iger's autobiography of his rise to the top of the Disney Corporation. And interestingly enough, he did say at one point that he was having a business meeting at a steakhouse and he didn't eat meat, and neither did the other person he was talking to. And I wondered, is he vegan? Is he vegetarian? Is he flexitarian? But anyway, he did point that out in one little passage, which I found interesting. And of course, you know, Disneyland does offer a lot of vegan options. But what I was saying was, reading his book, because he's a master, obviously, of business, to have risen from the lowest level at like ABC News all the way to the top of Disney, you got to have something on the ball. And he said, every problem is a puzzle and a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, essentially, I don't know if he said it in those words, but what I got from the book was that every time something came up, it was a puzzle. Don't be filled with anxiety. Just look at it as a puzzle and a challenge to be solved. And then other people have also said to pivot, to pivot, to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I see really successful businesses doing. Every time I go on Facebook, it seems like it's new. Every time I go on Instagram, there's a new thing to learn. Wait, what? It doesn't have. That's because they're constantly pivoting. They're not looking at it as, oh, we made these terrible mistakes, now we have to fix them. No, they're just constantly refining and making it better. I see this as an opportunity for vegan restaurants to really get creative and to not only survive, but come out stronger on the other end. I think there's going to be, this is a cultural shift that's occurring. I feel a lot of people will be doing more stay at home. I mean, I never even thought about ordering half the things that I've ordered because I don't want to go into the grocery store, like kitty litter, having it delivered. Mm-hmm. And now, of course, I've also had to look at my own consumption and really ask myself, when I order something, do I need it? Because somebody is putting their life on the line to deliver this to me, and I don't want to order anything frivolous. So I'm doing some self-searching as well. But honestly, I do need kitty litter. I have a cat. So, the point is that I think that if we use some of these great hacks that we're developing now, like the week's worth of food, when this is over, I might like to still get a week's worth of food from Crossroads. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I go to Crossroads, I got to get dressed up. I got to find that good jacket. I got to put on my makeup. I got to wear those high heels I don't like wearing, and to go in there. It's a great restaurant. It's one of my favorites. But the point is, would I like to be able to order their food even after this crisis? Of course. Mm-hmm. So I think if we are really creative about this time, and instead of being fear-based, that we all start just thinking in different ways, we could actually come out stronger from this. What do you think about that, Maggie, the founder of Vegout magazine?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Actually, as a company, we've had to pivot and innovate. We mostly were covering restaurants, going out to restaurants, events. That was a huge part of our content before. And so we had to completely re-strategize with the editorial team when this happened, and start thinking of ways that we can still do our jobs and cover vegan restaurants and vegan businesses as this shift happens. So I really am a true believer in companies that are pivoting. They're flexible. They're not so stuck on their original plan. Like if they had planned to just be dine-in, brick and mortar, they're not so stuck on that, and they're able to pivot and be flexible, change, not be fearful of change. Like you said, it's a puzzle. It's not necessarily a problem. I think they'll come out on top. So it is a scary time, but it's also, I think, an exciting time. I think a lot of good will come out of this as well.
Yes. While my heart goes out to everybody who's suffering and who's lost lives, lost their jobs, I do feel that there's a huge shift occurring. And even people I know who aren't vegan are texting me and showing articles, for example, about the shutting down of slaughterhouses across the country because the workers are working elbow to elbow and they're tragically coming down with coronavirus, and in some cases dying. And you know, that we can shift to a plant-based economy. One of the, indeed, the biggest meat producer in the world has vegan products. I was just speaking to somebody today who said that they actually sampled some of the vegan products and they're quite good. These companies want to make money. So if they can make money without slaughtering animals, if it becomes, well, it's already become, I mean, how much more do you need? How many more problems do you need? Mad cow disease, swine flu, avian flu has cropped up again. It's not making headlines because everybody's talking about the coronavirus, but avian flu is also a threat. Antibiotic resistance, climate change, pollution, habitat destruction, wildlife extinction, human world. I mean, how many more problems do we need before we realize this meat-based economy is not working? Let's just get rid of the meat. We could avoid future pandemics. We could start reversing climate change almost immediately. There's a new white paper on this. If we reforested the cattle grazing land that uses at least a third of the usable land on Earth, and all the food that we're producing to feed to farm animals, if we undid all that, we could live on much less of the territory of the planet, reforest the rest of the planet, reverse climate change, bring the temperature back to where it was 200 years ago. So there's the climate change argument. There's the human health argument. I mean, people tragically are dying, and a lot of the symptoms that are predictors of how severe their reaction to the COVID-19 is going to be are predicated on lifestyle diseases. If they have heart disease, and if they have cancer, and if they have diabetes, and if they're obese, those are 4 things that will make you tragically more likely to suffer a lot and even die from the coronavirus. So I think it's a giant wake-up call. Do you see people waking up, Maggie, or do you see it more of us vegans talking to each other and maybe occasionally reaching somebody else?
I think there's really a split. There are still people, unfortunately, who are going to eat meat, who are eating meat during all of this and are stubborn to change their ways. But I do think that there's a big pool of people, low-hanging fruit, if you will, who were maybe interested in a vegan diet or a more vegan diet before all of this happened. And this is just kind of validating why they should make the shift in their own lives. So it is a lot of vegans, you know, talking to other vegans, but I do think that there are people that this will be the reason in a couple years from now when you ask, oh, why'd you go vegan? I think this will be the reason for a lot of people to go vegan. So I think that's great.
Yeah. And so let me ask you a question, because you're a successful businesswoman. I don't know how long you've been in business, but I remember, I think I talked to you when it was much newer, obviously, and you were just getting started. And yet you've really expanded and grown your Vegout magazine. What was the mentality that you had, and what was the strategy you had that allowed you to grow? Because I think a lot of younger vegan entrepreneurs are like at this moment where they need some inspiration. They need some leadership that I think you could provide.
Yeah. We started I feel like when someone starts something, sometimes they expect immediate results. But I'm not going to lie, it's a long journey. There are instances where people become, you know, quote, overnight successes, but in general, you start small and you build, and you're consistent. You put in work every single day. You have a bigger vision that drives you, and definitely do something that you believe in. Vegout's very mission driven, so it's easy for me to devote my life to it, and I'm constantly working. And we started small as a little blog, Instagram page, and we just built. Last year, we launched our mobile app. We launched a new website. Like you said, we have other cities now. We launched our New York print magazine. And before all of this happened, we got news that the magazine would be in Barnes & Noble, East and West Coast.
Woo!
We're in supermarkets across California. So we've seen incredible success in the recent months and just within this last year. But it really has been something that's been built, it's started small and you just consistent work put in. And now is the perfect time to do that. There's a lot more time in the day, or at least it seems so, being at home. So if you're working on a project and you have extra time, just do stuff. Whether it's posting on social media or creating a website or whatever it is, just if you're constantly, I mean, you need to take breaks for mental health, but if you're consistently putting in work in something you really care about, you're setting yourself up for success. So
I love it. Now, let me ask you this question. What are you doing to recharge and relax during this time? Because you're absolutely right. If you don't take a couple of hours or an hour or two to relax and recharge, then you can burn out. And we don't want vegans and vegan entrepreneurs burning out. So what are your guilty pleasures?
Yeah, I think it's definitely important. Definitely important to take breaks for exercise. So in the morning, I'll usually do an home workout video, and there's a ton of free ones now during quarantine. We did an article on that. Bunch of places offering free workout videos. And then later in the day, I've been doing a lot of like hands-on projects, getting a little more creative. I typically don't cook, but during quarantine, I've been cooking a little bit more. I've been drawing a little bit more. Actually, I have this drawing I made right here.
Oh, oh wow.
Drawing a little bit more.
You're good. You're good.
And then I've been taking walks or runs once in a while. Because when it's beautiful out, it's hard not to go outside. So
yeah. Well, I was doing walks, but then I started reading that people who are exercising, their droplets can leave a train of 23, 24, even longer feet.
Mm.
So where I am, there's a lot of joggers and bikers. And so I was like, no, I got a set of goggles and I got a mask. I got goggles because somebody told me, when those droplets hit you, they can go into your eyes. And that is another way that they can get into your system. And I thought, so I have not been doing that. But what I have been doing as a way of unwinding, I'm taking piano lessons, and I do it remotely with my vegan piano teacher. And that's great. In fact, I've got one today at 2:30. And I also have a guilty pleasure. I think it's important to have a guilty pleasure. Okay, my guilty pleasure is a show on Netflix called Gran Hotel. It's in Spanish, but it has subtitles. And also, I speak Spanish, but I don't speak it very often. And it's a great way for me to polish up my Spanish. Y hablan en español con castellano. It's the Castilian Spanish, so it's fabulous. It is addictive, this show. And so that's my guilty pleasure. And I tell myself, well, I'm practicing my Spanish as well as watching a very funny, not funny, but very compelling telenovela type. It really is kind of like Downton Abbey meets a telenovela, because it's or upstairs, downstairs. It's a whole upstairs, downstairs thing set in a fantastic hotel. I'm going to actually research to find out what hotel it is. Because it's like a castle. And that's kind of the thing that I like. I'm a castle aficionado. I remember I went to England and I went to Downton Abbey's castle, Highclere Castle, and I walked around and I was like, that's where Lady so-and-so did such and such. So that's my guilty pleasure. I think it's important for everybody to have a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I actually have been watching Netflix. Now that you remind me, I've been watching All American on Netflix, which is it's a football series, but it's I don't know, it's really inspiring, and it's based on a true story. It's really good. The acting's great. It's place in LA.
So we can have some fun too. I mean, we talk about, all the hard work we have to do, but it's also important for us to wind down, have some fun, and recharge our batteries. And just remember that we are we have the answer, and it's just a question of getting people to open their hearts and their minds and their ears and hear this very easy solution to all of this. Because, I've been reading a little bit about the pandemics, and we could have a far, far more severe one come down the path. And so we have an opportunity now. We're at a turning point as a human species. Either we evolve while we're in cocoon, we can evolve and we can emerge, as Dr. Silas Rao says, of climate healers, as a butterfly species, evolved, compassionate, understanding that we do not need to kill others to eat or to survive, or we could face an even more severe pandemic. So when we keep these businesses alive, these vegan businesses, it's not just because we want to eat some fantastic food that's absolutely delicious. It's also that we want to help the entire human race survive as well. And of course, eliminating unnecessary animal suffering. So Maggie, you are fantastic. Can I ask you how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 29. I turned 30 this year.
Oh my God. A 29-year-old powerhouse vegan, the founder of Vegout magazine. I urge everybody, we have the link. Just go to Vegout Mag. Here it is. Where is it? Vegoutmag.com, right?
Yeah, and we're also offering right now, we're giving away free copies of our magazine. You just have to pay shipping, which is $3. We thought that was just a good way to give people something to do while they're in quarantine. So if anyone wants a copy, we mail them same day. You'll get that, free copies for everyone. So.
All right. Vegout Mag, we love you. Thank you, Maggie. And everybody watching, support your vegan restaurants. The time is now, really the crucial time to support these vegan restaurants. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.